What's up, everybody? This is Christian from Tiny House Expedition. We are live from the DC, Virginia Tiny House Festival, and we are about to go over here and listen to a little bit of a panel about homemaking. So let's go over here. These are some tiny housers and a guy that lives in, our friend Mike, that lives in a bus full time. So let's go check this out.
Now they just tend to sleep in the downstairs one together, which is really adorable. And my boyfriend and I live upstairs. 4 people in a tiny house. That seems crazy, right? But that's the beauty of living in community. There's several buildings there. There's there's like a little cottage, there's a barn, there's a stable, there's 6 acres, and there's the big house where there's lots of kids that live there to play in. So whenever we feel cramped, one person can go out or go to the other, and 6 acres to play on. So, and on top of that, because I cut my cost of living down by 75%, I'm no longer broke. We can afford to go do fun stuff. Got cabin fever? Let's go play. Let's go on a vacation. I didn't go on a vacation for 7 years because I couldn't afford that. So now we go on vacation several times a year. So while we have given up some space, which I don't feel like we have at all, I don't miss it at all, although my 13-year-old is starting to disagree. But that's mostly because I share custody with her father, and he lives in a very, very large house and she practically has her own floor there. So she comes back to this 10-foot loft, and she's and a sister that she likes maybe 5% of the time and then fights with the rest of the time. So for her, it's starting to feel a little bit tight. But she's also 13, and every day she's finding that she's a different person, and she's trying to find out who she is. So it's an interesting thing for her. But she does love, for the first time ever, when we first moved into the tiny house, on her birthday, we cut school. And we went, and I said, you've got a $200 budget. We're going to do anything you want for your birthday. So whatever we spend on experience, if there's anything left over, you can pick out a present. That's not anything I was able to provide for her after I got a divorce. It was way too, even when I was married, making ends meet was tough. So doing it on my own was really difficult. So, again, you're giving up a little bit of space, but you're getting so much out of it, especially when you're doing it with other people, because then you can collectivize the items that you're sharing and maximize your experiences.
I have a very interesting situation. I don't own any land, and I'm not technically renting any residential land. I have a workshop that I rent. So my tools and lumber and everything's in there, and I park outside my workshop because my house is still under construction, so everything is appropriate. I'm probably not supposed to be living in it, but nobody cares. But what's really cool about that is I built a little patio outside my house, and I have cookouts. I have friends over all the time. My neighbor, we kind of co-parent a dog. And so I haven't really felt like I gave up anything but my TV, and I watch that on my laptop anyway. So I was having a really tough time yesterday and today with people asking, what do you miss the most? And I couldn't come up with anything. Nothing. I mean, I had a house that was about 2,800 square feet to begin with. And it was just me and a cat, but we lived in all of it. We used every square inch of that house. I had an art room and a workout room and a guest room, a huge kitchen, a party deck, a sunroom, a living room. My piano was in there, my office was in there, but I never left the house. I lived in that house, which meant I didn't know who my neighbors were. I had no idea. I could run into them at the grocery store, wouldn't know who they are. So I felt like I was becoming a hermit. I was very insulated. I didn't have a community. I lived in one, supposedly. And as soon as I got rid of everything and I started, you do your necessities in the house. You eat, you sleep, you change clothes, you do your baths and stuff. You live outside your house. You don't live in your house anymore. And I know all my neighbors. I know all the city officials. I wave at all the people coming out of the Publix who can now see my front porch. I know the people I live around, and it has completely changed the way I live. So I don't miss anything.
All right, guys. Living for me has obviously been great, or else I wouldn't be living in it anymore after 2.5 years. One of the main goals that I was after, the whole reason for me doing this was I was after the lifestyle, not having to do the grind, wake up when 9 to 5. Keep on grinding away when I thought it was pointless. But I enjoy it. The way that I guess materialized or did it was I built that tiny house, and then that opened up the possibility or the chance of not having to worry about money as much, because my bills have been reduced to $185 a month, and my health insurance is covered by the VA for military service. So, I mean, if you guys can't see the value in that, then I mean, it's pretty sweet. And if you could, previously I was paying $1,500. So if that can give you a little bit of balance of what before and after, you know, and how that would affect your lifestyle, then you're on it. You got it.
Just another cost comparison. The big house that I was in, it was $1,300 a month, plus utilities, plus cable, plus internet, plus everything. My house, I rent the workshop. That's $200 a month, and I don't pay for any other utilities except my cell phone. So I think my bills are rough. They're under $300 a month. Everything else is bonus. It's food, which is why I have so much food in my house.
Yeah, I've got a nice living situation that I fell into also. I retired from government service a couple of years ago, about the same time that I decided that might be a good opportunity to go tiny. I was renting a house at the time. I did lose my big house in the economic downturn, and so I've been renting ever since. And I rented, when I decided to build a tiny house, I rented houses that had a big enough yard to build in, and that was really my only criteria, was I got to be able, so I had a series of relatively understanding landlords that there was a construction zone in their backyard, and they were cool with that. But then when it was done was this time last year, and we were on our way to the New Jersey Festival, and I had an opportunity to become a caretaker at a public park in St. Johns County, which is where St. Augustine is. And so I parked my tiny house at a boat ramp in a 14-acre nature park that has a senior citizens meal program 3 mornings a week, and I've just turned into a senior citizen, so I get fed too. So yeah, it's just beautiful. There is a mobile home on the property that the previous person lived in. When we started living there, it was not even remotely inhabitable. Part of our deal for living there is we're making it livable for either us or for future tenants. But my house hasn't been on the property for the last 6 weeks. It's been up here doing advertising, and I've missed it very, very much. I've been living in that mobile home, and it just not happy. Don't like it. Very happy that next week my house will be back home again, and I'll be back home. But yeah, I'm really lucky the opportunity we had to be caretakers on this park.
So I'm a little different in terms of I guess living. I travel full time in my home, so I don't have a property. I don't really have necessarily like a home base. I originally came from New Jersey. My parents are still there, so I guess I pop by there to say hi. But besides that, I'm continually traveling. I live on public lands and national forests, BLM lands. Just kind of pop around the whole country, move with the seasons type style, which is a little bit different maybe than a lot of people are in tiny homes. So you'll find me, anywhere from next week I'll be in Canada, and then I think I'm coming back east eventually. I'm not too sure. But it's a little bit of a different type of lifestyle, and that's kind of what I was going for with why I'm in a school bus rather than maybe some other type of more less mobile structures, or once or twice type move type situations. And with that, I did that on purpose though, because for me, traveling was something I really wanted to do. I felt as though previously to living in a school bus, I was in graduate school, I was in an apartment style type thing, whatnot, and it really restricted me to being able to travel the way that I wanted to, and to really see the rest of the country and the rest of North America. And coming out of college, I still have student loans. I still have the debts of that, which probably a lot of us would have at some point in our lives. And that's so restrictive to being able to go after our dreams and do what we want. So essentially what I did was I realized that, student loans are essentially, another rent payment or another mortgage payment. Well, I can't afford that coming out of college, and there's no way if I do that, I'm never going to get out of the 9 to 5 to go do these things I want to do. So the option for me was to go tiny, to be able to lower all of my expenses and essentially be able to do these travels. I've now traveled all over North America. I've been to every state but Hawaii. I've been up to Alaska, all through Canada, and just traveling in my bus. And I'm only able to afford that, which sounds crazy, but I'm able to afford it because I don't have all those expenses that go along with, renting and first and last, or owning a home and property taxes and all these things, and cable and we were listing. So I've gotten my bills down essentially to gas, which I think is a choice. I choose to put gas in. I don't have to drive 3,000 miles this month. I chose to do that. So, it's not like I owe this rent payment every month. I'm choosing to pay that much every month. I can choose to stay put if I don't have much money. And in terms of living in the school bus, all I have is my motorhome insurance, and I have my registration every year, and that's all I really owe on it. I own it outright. I worked and paid for it in cash as I went. So that's my home. That's my asset. I don't owe anyone for it. All I gotta do is pay my insurance once a year, and I pay my registration once a year, and that's it. Besides that, I have my cell phone bill, which I use for internet. A jetpack system because I work online, so I have data on the road. I have my student loans, and I'm still well under $1,000 a month with all that. Not well under, but close to under $1,000 a month, which really is, we're talking, I need $12,000 a year to live and travel every state in America. I'm not complaining here. That's a great advantage to what I wanted to do and what my goals were. And a lot of times people always send me emails and their stuff and how do you possibly fill your gas tank, or how do you travel so much? And it's not a matter of how do I make so much, it's a matter of how did I save so much. I don't make a lot of money, but I also don't put that as the forefront of what I need. I don't want to make a lot of money because I don't want to work 80 hours a week at a job and never be able to go see the Grand Tetons, or never get to go to Alaska and just go spend some time up there. I'd rather put those travels ahead of working and lower all of my expenses to do that. And when student loans go away in the next 30 years for me, that I don't even know what would happen, because I'd probably be down in the $300 range or $200 range of living, because it's just not that expensive when you start getting rid of the $100 cable bill and the $100 telephone bill. They just start adding up. Also, I don't have a truck or anything. All I have is that bus, so I don't have a car payment or auto insurance or anything like that. I don't have to fill that with gas. It's just the bus. So, I don't know what that looks like for you guys in terms of expenses, if that adds an expense to you. But for me, I don't have those. So that also frees me up in terms of responsibilities. That is all I have to worry about. If that engine turns on, I'm going tomorrow. If it doesn't turn on, I'm staying here, I guess. That's all I have to worry about. I don't have to worry about anything else than that vehicle.
What's kind of funny, and I am definitely the senior citizen on this group, he's living my retirement plan. Okay? That living tiny really originally was going to be an RV or an Airstream, but that's always been my retirement plan. And it is what's kind of cool. He touched a little bit on the boondocking and living free in places. That was something I had always planned to do, and where I am now is sort of an extension of that. But the national parks and the state park have volunteer programs. If you volunteer 20 hours a week, you get free hookup. And they are tiny friendly. I've camped and parked at a lot of state and national parks now. And some of them have actually started inviting me to come because of the house and because I dress up and interpret. And so as I ease on into a full retirement, I'm pretty confident that I'm going to have really, really beautiful places to park and live and interpret. And I will definitely become a snowbird, because I'll do Key West in February and I will do Maine in the summer. So that kind of stuff. And definitely got a couple of Grand Canyon years in there. But it's cool. It does give you a whole lot of flexibility that you might not have thought about before as well. And I did build this one to be pretty mobile. I didn't do it just to be on the other side of code enforcement or something like that. I did build it with travel in mind.
I just wanted to add one thing to add to the expenses that were going on, everybody.
So that's some of the information you guys will be getting when you come to something like the DC Virginia Tiny House Festival. So more to come. We're going to do some more live broadcasts, so you guys stay tuned and keep it tiny.